Oh, the sun's gonna shine in my life once more. Love's gonna live here again. Things are gonna be the way they were before. Love's gonna live here again. Love's gonna live here. Love's gonna live here. Love's gonna live here again. No more loneliness, only happiness. Love's gonna live here again.
Castorena. This is Visions of Inspiration. I got my co-host here. What an awesome feeling when I have him here. He's just so wonderful. I'd like to introduce my co-host, John Hirano.
Hey there, Caroline. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing awesome.
Great. Well, I've got a very special guest for us today, and I'm really excited about this because this is a friend of mine who we've been friends for years and years, and we've worked together. She is my personal astrologer as well.
Whoa.
So I recommend her highly. But she is not just your ordinary astrologer. She's also an intuitive astrologer as well.
Oh my goodness, wow.
So she uses her talents on many, many levels. She just doesn't just read your chart, she actually breathes your chart. So the information that's coming through her is not just literal, what you're seeing through a chart, but it's also coming from spirit as well.
Wow.
She's so amazing. So I want to introduce you to Sharon Norwood.
Sharon, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I'm so excited because you did my chart too, and I'm excited about that. So, share a real little bit about yourself. Why did you start doing this?
Well, actually, you know, I came from Tucson, Arizona, and there I was teaching Qigong and have worked with energy for years.
Okay.
And had always had an interest in doing astrology because I did understand the energy of the planets.
Ah.
And came to California about 9 years ago and was doing astrology then. Then I met a wonderful teacher named Jim Powell, who's passed away last year, and studied with him a more esoteric astrology, understanding the energy of the planets.
Ah.
So with astrology, there are many different levels, and I really like to go into the deep energy level and the spirituality of a person's chart.
Wow. Well, I'm pretty excited about it because you gave me some information that was so on, you know, and you really didn't even know me. We just met not too long ago. So let's get into a little bit about what you found out about me and about...
Sure, you bet. First of all, many of my clients come to me and they want to know what I call the mundane part of their life. They, you know, your chart, and this is your chart, Caroline.
Okay.
You can see that?
Right, just
right here.
There you go, okay.
This is your chart, and most people want to, well, what's happening in my relationship house, what's happening with my money, but really, this is your blueprint as soul when you came into this world. And each of the planets in your chart, and you can see them sitting here, will never be in the same exact place with the same vibration upon each other.
Wow.
And so when a person asks about relationships, it's really not about the relationship with other people.
Okay.
Your chart is really about the relationship you're having with yourself and your spiritual journey here.
Wow.
And it's through other people, through your relationships, through marriages, through friendships, through family, that you really do learn about who you are, and it's a spiritual journey. And so with clients, it depends on how deep I go with them as to how they can handle this energy. If we were to look at your chart, just simply looking at the beginning part, we would see that even though you're a Taurus, and here's your sun sitting in the house of relationships, you're about relationships. We do know that Taurus shares Venus. Venus is about love, but as Taurus, it's about values. Let's go deeper than materiality. Let's go deeper than real estate and money. It's really about your values. So the first house in a person's chart really talks about their identity. And you have Scorpio. And this is just really brief because it takes me an hour and a half to do someone's chart.
Okay.
So you have deep waters. This tells me you're a person with very deep waters. That is a Scorpio is the energy of the 8th house. It's a very deep energy. It's about your major transformation. I would say that you're a person who's made major changes in your life, that you will always continue to transform yourself, and I did mention to you on the phone that when you have painful issues that are really deep and hurtful, instead of telling other people, you're the kind of person who will go to your room and cry by yourself, not let people know how deep you've been injured, and then try to transform yourself and work through it. But it also tells me on a spiritual level, because Scorpio represents the 8th house over here, which is in the higher level of the chart, that you're looking to transform others as well, and that you are a resource to other people.
Wow.
So just looking at that briefly. Then if we look to see where your moon is, hey, you got the moon in Aquarius. That's quite a place to have it. And it's the placement of your mother, the mother in the home. There she's sitting there for you. And it means a very unusual, kind of a unique, kind of strange energy. Also with how you develop yourself on an intuitive basis makes you an intuitive person, because we take on that energy of the 11th house. And then I look over here, and it does show me that Chiron, your wounded healer, had a lot to do with how you related to groups of people when you were a child. But look at you now. Look how you overcame that. Once again, you go back over to the beautiful energy of Scorpio that says, no matter what my challenge is, I'm going to transform myself. And so...
You're so on.
No matter what it is. It's true. One of the nice things you have is you have your... you have Jupiter sitting here, and Jupiter is your benefactor. It's sitting in your mission in life and what's here. And no matter what has maybe been a blockage in your way, Jupiter's been there to remove it. It's called your angel, and your angel sits in the high house, the 10th house of Capricorn. And so when I look at your sun, I see that it sits there about your value. You value the relationships. When I look over here at Saturn, which is our spiritual accountant, it has held you accountable. It's held you accountable for your resources. It's held you accountable for your transformation. So I would say you're a person who's made this transformation, but it has not been easy. It's been a very tough road. And,
Absolutely.
And your journey began in the home environment. And so the transformation at a spiritual level is the level of the Cancer energy at the 4th house, which is what grounds us into the earth, which is our stability, and it's been very hard for you to have that stability for yourself. You've had to work really hard at it. And I would say at a spiritual level, you were able to achieve it because the 11th house having to do with humanitarian services is where you help other people. Yes. You're a caregiver, and it's in Virgo, which means that you're working at it. So that's just a quick one. I haven't gone into really deep how the planets interact, but basically that would be just a brief overview of some of the things that go on in your natal chart.
And you're so on. I mean, I'm at awe, you know, to know that just by you putting all of this. I mean, that's like Chinese writing to me. You know, I don't understand any of that.
Most of us, you know.
But what you're saying, it's so true. It has been a journey, and it's been a difficult journey. But right now, it's so rewarding. I'm like on a high. So it's an awesome thing for me right now. That's great.
So when you were talking about Chiron, the wounded healer, and how she's apparently overcome a lot of these challenges that she's been brought into this world with, that's a good thing for you. I think that's a great thing because it's showing her results now.
Well, it's in Virgo, and Virgo, as astrologers know, represents the 6th house of health, and it also represents preparing for our journey of work or our profession or what we're here to do, our mission. So Chiron prepared her. Through her pain and suffering that she had gone through, she prepared herself to help other people. And how did she do that? She did it in the house of humanitarian.
Wow.
Wow, by helping other people?
Right. Now let's say that you hadn't gone that route. It would have been different. But the thing is, let's say you had a twin who was born a couple minutes from you. People ask me, one of the questions they ask is, well, what if someone's born at the same exact time and they're in the hospital in the same exact place? And twins are a good example. The thing is, we're all different. Imagine that some of us wear a lot of heavy coats and we're going out in the sun, right? And we're hot. Some of us don't wear that much. So we're all different. We come into this world with different vibrations, different energies around us as we come in. And the planets, and this is the type of astrology that I really do and I look at. It's actually from a mystery school that I'm studying with, is that the planets are just like us. They have energy and they transmit this energy to us.
Wow.
And imagine these invisible lines coming to each one of us. And the vibration, there is never a time that the planets are in the same position, vibrating the same energies back and forth to each other and to us ever in time.
Wow.
So that's why timing is very important.
Okay, another question. Now, what if somebody wants to be in a relationship? Okay, does your chart say that in there?
Your chart will reflect that relationships are open, and that's a good question. You asked me about a relationship, and you know, I looked at this individual's chart, and one of the beautiful things that I see in his chart is that he is a benefit to you.
Oh,
in many ways. It doesn't mean that there's not something involved in it, but if you were to look at the chart, he has his sun, which is 24 degrees Cancer. And if we look in your chart, we want to find Cancer in your chart. He's sitting over here in your 8th house, which is spirituality, which is your transformation. So he's going to be a person who's going to help you transform yourself.
Oh, wow.
But timing is very important, and that's the one thing that I tell my clients. We may want a relationship, but the timing of the energies of the planets are the most important thing. And so sometimes I will tell a client, let's wait, you know, just wait and see, or these are some of the things you're going to be working through. But I did look and see that you both have one of the really positive aspects. You have Venus and Mars, what we call in a trine, which is in a great aspect in a relationship chart. It doesn't mean that you don't have things to work out, because I did see that there are some things, but that he's going to help you bring out those painful issues that maybe you have not released from past relationships, and help you heal that. So yes, relationship charts are important, but the most important relationship is with ourselves, and it is through those mates or those people that we live with that we really learn about who we are and why we're here.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
So, you know, when you had, I liked how you said about the chart being a blueprint of your life, your personality. And what are some factors that make the variance from person to person? I know that you ask, like, the time that they were born, their date, and then you ask their location. Why is it that these three are so important?
Okay, because when you're born, you're in a certain place.
Okay.
It's like I'm sitting here. If I were to move my chair to a different place, the lighting would be different for me. So the planet's positions to me and connection to me vibrate to my vibration. And that can make a big difference. Just like when you decide to get married, when do you want to get married? And where you get married. So when I look at a person's chart, let's say you're born in Texas.
Yeah,
right?
I was born in El Paso, Texas.
Right, so if I were to sit down and do a very serious chart with you, I would look at your chart here.
Oh.
I would say, what is the theme that you have going here? Where are you going spiritually? What is it taking you to? Is this a place of recognition, or is this a place of love for you?
So when you say looking at her here, you're talking about here in California?
Here in this California area, because the planets are vibrating according to her natal chart.
So 2 people or 3 people born exactly the exact same time, same date, but because they're in 3 different locations,
totally changes.
The energy's completely, it could be more or less.
It could be totally different.
Completely different.
Right.
Yeah. And so if I'm born in a particular city, in a particular state, and I move to a different, completely different place, you would look at, like you said, the new location and how that new location energetically is affecting them.
Right. And also in relationships. Let's say you have a relationship and you're living in New York City and it's grand. You move to California and it just seems to fall apart.
And it throws out the door.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Now, you also mentioned that time is real important. What time were they born? That's a real important issue.
It is very important to know that.
Why?
Because it tells us what the ascendant line is, and a lot of astrologers feel that the ascendant is just the covering, but I feel And others have this feeling as well, that it's more than that. It's not the face that you give to other people. It's how you act things out. So for yourself, you know, you're a Taurus. Here you are. But you're acting as a Scorpio. You have the intense eyes as a Scorpio. If you acted as a Taurus, you'd be slow going, hard to do anything. But you have all this high energy of Scorpio, intensity. And so you want to delve into that. Where the Taurus will be looking at values very slowly, and you know, you do have that trust thing, trust issue we talked about. But when you're viewing it from the 8th house, it's as if you've gone through all the others and you're in the 8th house viewpoint.
Oh.
And that's why the ascendant line is very important.
Which means?
For you, it would mean that you're looking at totally transforming yourself. But let's say another Taurus was basically had Aries as the rising sign, which means about discovery. It's all about me, and I'm going to discover new things, and I'm going to go to this, I'm going to go to that, and I'm not going to look to see where I've been. I just want to keep going forward. That's a different thing, even though you both could be Tauruses. So it does make a difference. And it also makes a difference to it. When I look at a person's chart, I know what the family life is like.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
So
we talked about your mom and that whole thing. And I could tell about, you know, the restriction that you had at home with Saturn sitting there at a very deep level.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of things
Yeah.
in that area. So the placement is important because the energy and the vibration at that moment where you were. And the relocation chart, I do those on clients that I feel it's necessary. Like if they're from another country, it's really good to do it because they're here now.
Well, that would be a really good thing to do, knowing, say you're planning to move to a different place or a different state.
Absolutely.
And then you look at your chart to see if it's going to work or not.
Right.
Wow.
That'd really clue you
That's
in, wouldn't
interesting. Yeah.
it? Yeah, or if how it would affect your family if you move.
Right.
That would be really good to know.
And what relationship that you would be compatible to also.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, more than compatibility is what is it you're going to learn
What are you
from
gonna
it
learn?
spiritually from this
Oh,
person.
okay.
What would be the theme in the relationship house?
oh, that's why you said that he's going to teach me?
Right.
Yeah, and that's why she was talking about how important relationships were with self.
Yeah.
Because relationships with others are all dependent on what your relationship with yourself is, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'd want to look at the planets.
Yeah.
The planets have relationships with each other. They are spiritual beings like us. They are in a universe just like we are. And they are like individuals in this huge universe.
Wow.
And they are affected by what's going on in the universe, and that the universe itself, the galaxy, affects them and simultaneously affects us. And that's why Jupiter, Mars, Venus, all those planets are never the same. The one planet, or we won't call it a planet, is the moon, and it goes through our chart the fastest. And that's in the intuitive abilities that we have, the emotional abilities. You know, a Cancer, they constantly change their emotions every 2.5 days, but it could be great for intuitive as well. You can go to different phases.
Wow.
That's great.
So the fact that we have one moon on this one planet that we live in is going to affect us differently if hypothetically we had 2 moons.
That's right.
Wow.
The rules change.
Wow, the rules will change. That's really interesting. So now you said that the planets have a relationship with each other.
Yes.
And you also stated that the planets would then therefore have a personal relationship with us.
That's right.
So, for instance, in her chart, where she was born, is there one planet that affects you more than another, depending on where you're born and the time and the date?
Yeah, that's true. I look at a chart and it tells me what the dominant planet is, what the dominant theme is in that person's chart. But know that your chart never stays the same, that it changes. Just like the sun, where it's landed, it goes 1 degree per year, approximately, per year.
How often does it change?
Your chart changes every day.
Oh.
Every single day the planets move. Every single day. Sometimes slower, sometimes faster. It depends on the planet. We know that Saturn is a spiritual accountant, and it goes through our chart on quarters. So it's about every 28 to 30 years. And that's why we think of the stages of life as 7, being 7 years old, being 14, 21, 28 approximately. So I would say to you, I'd say, Carolina, go look and see what you were doing when you were 28 to 30. What changes did you not make? And then you had to, again, face those changes about 2 years ago when Saturn returned to its original position in your chart. So planets go around and everything changes, but where your chart is now is never going to be the same from moment to moment.
But does a person who is born on a particular time or whatever, and then they have a particular planet that is affecting them the most, would that, as a result, be more a dominant energy, depending on the time and date they were born?
In the natal chart, we do look at the dominant planet and the energy that is the theme is being played. Yes.
I see. So, okay. So, I mean, although the different planets are affecting you every day, there may be more of a general theme throughout one's life.
Right.
Was that
Absolutely.
true?
Absolutely. The thing is that I do tell my clients is, in order to make a change, you need to understand what your choices are. If you don't understand, the planets just give their energy. They just give it. They don't direct it. They're not thinking, okay, I'm going to really screw things up for you for 7 years. They don't think that. They just send the energy. But if you understand, just like feng shui, it's the same thing. If I tell a client, look, you got a lot of Neptune energy, go down to the beach and put your feet in the water. You know, otherwise your head's going to be all screwed up. You can't make decisions. There could be some deceitfulness going on in your life and confusion. But, you know, do something with water. Bring water in. Bring it into your home. Go down by the water.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I'll say, hey, did you have a leak in your house? How did you know? If we know how the energy is working and we know what's going on, we can use that to benefit ourselves and be aware of it and be awake.
It's like having the key and opening that door.
Right.
And there's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How often should a person have a chart done?
I would say at the very least once a year.
Okay.
6 months. It depends on the chart and how full it is.
I mean, I understand the value of having a chart because it is empowering and it's educational, and it allows you to know how to react and behave in a much more knowledgeable manner versus like screwing everything up. You know?
No, not us.
But you think about all those folks that may not be familiar with astrology, but they are familiar with astrology in the newspaper or the magazines because they're fun. Now, a lot of people read those horoscope things, and it's not real specific, but there is a theme in it. How does that work?
They basically look at the planets and what sign they're in.
So it's a much more general thing.
It's very general. You cannot go by that. You're not even your sun sign. You're much more than that. You're not just your head. You have a whole body. And that's how you have to look at it.
Well, Sharon, we're really running out of time. And do you have anything to predict to the world, to the planet? Anything that's not going to freak them out or scare them?
That's a key thing right there. Don't freak them out.
Actually, yes. We have a very difficult transit taking place right now on this planet. And it could mean that there could be a definite war. I hate to say that. There's going to be some kind of physical action. Anytime you see Mars with Pluto, it's like a fuse to the bomb.
Like a conflict.
There's definitely, yes.
Agitation.
I did predict at John's thing that I do see the election there's going to be something really kind of off. We are in an unusual time period when the day of election, you'll have Saturn opposition Uranus, and it'll be in opposition at that very time. It's a very poor time to elect a candidate for president.
Oh, really?
It's a very poor time. It means that it may not go as scheduled. There's going to be something that's going to be on an odd basis there. So, and we also, we have two candidates that have all that Leo influence.
Yes.
So, I would say to voters, be aware of the charisma, the Hollywood, and, maybe there's masks on there.
Sounds like all of them.
Right. The costumes are there.
Yeah.
The costumes are there. So yes, and we will see, you know, we had an earthquake, which was not unusual because we had...
Did you know what's going to happen?
Yes, we had an eclipse. We have 5 eclipses this year, power eclipses we call them.
Okay.
There's another one, but I do feel we're going to have more. And actually, we're still in that kind of time period. It's usually a week before and a week after the eclipse because the moon actually activates those things.
Oh. So you feel we're going to have another earthquake soon?
Yes.
Mm. Can you tell when? How soon?
Approximately. There's approximate,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
just an energy.
I think we'll see another one this month in August, but I do believe that there's a possibility with another eclipse taking place. On the next eclipse, just check your ephemeris and you'll see that 1 week before and 1 week after. And we need to watch that. We need to watch the moon when there's eclipses, either a solar eclipse. Solar eclipses are very powerful.
Okay.
All that energy shining on the moon.
Yeah.
Wow. Anything else? We got a few minutes, like a couple.
Well, I think that's what's important is to look at how astrology has grown so much.
Yes.
And that I really feel the future of this planet, a lot of it will depend upon the knowledge of astrology and the guidance that we can get in order to live a more healthier life and to understand our past, because our past and our present and our future are all one together. And I think it's important to look at that. When I do someone's chart, I look at them as a spiritual being and my connection with them, and know that we are all connected, even though we seem separate, and that we are connected with the planets.
Yeah, and another thing I know that you do is, not to keep going on this, but you can also connect with their karma and their past life.
Yes, I do
through
that.
the chart as well.
Wow.
It's in
So
there.
she's
That's
just
awesome.
amazing.
Wow.
You know, and every time I sit with her, I learn so much anyways.
Wow.
You know.
That's true. It's in your chart, the past life, and you know.
I'm taking you home with me.
You better feed her well.
I will.
I have an astrology reading that's great.
Huh?
Having an astrology reading is wonderful, but we don't want to live moment to moment with it.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, John.
Oh boy. I'm Sharon Castorena, and this is John.
This is John Harana.
And God bless all of you, and God bless our troops. Thank you.
God bless you.
Yes.
I hear bells ringing, I hear birds a singing. Love's gonna live.